Hi everyone. I was just finishing up the final touches on today's lesson for paintabilities. Today we're going to be painting bullfinches. Do you know what that is? These are these sweet little birds. They come out, I believe, mostly in winter, and they've got these pretty, they almost look like robins. They've got these pretty orange chests on them, and they've got little black caps on them, and lots of black accents and gray medium tones. And so we're going to create this fun little design. So let's take a look at my inspiration photos. Remember, on Paintabilities, we are all about painting from photographs, okay? So how do you create a design that has two elements in it like this from a bird that you want to create the design from? Okay, so I'm going to share with you how we do that. These are the photos that I'm using for reference. I got these off of Pitfalls, which is another free photography site out there that you guys can go and take a look at. I get lots of questions about where do I get my photographs from. They come from lots of different places like VecDZ, Pexels, iPhotos, I think it's called. There's lots of them out there. So just go use your Google, go check them out. And if you want to know more about how to find references, go check out my very first few videos in this Paintability series and you will see exactly where to find those. Okay, so here are the two photographs we're working from, and I'm going to get started in sharing how we use those to create the design. So to start this project, the first thing I wanted to do is select the surface that I wanted to create this design on. And so I chose this 11 by 11 square piece of hanging wood. It's got a routed edge, a beautiful beaded hanger. This is by Plaid Enterprises. It's available on plaidonline.com as well as onestroke.com. And so this is the design surface that I'm going to work with. Now, the second thing I needed to do for this bullfinch design was I needed to select the pictures. And so you saw the pictures that we went over in the beginning of this lesson. And then I took those pictures and I laid them out within the area that this design would fit. So coming in from 11, I came into 10 by 10. And I just used PowerPoint for the most part for my designs. And I just took two pictures, the two that you saw, and I laid them out and sized them appropriately for the size of surface that I was going to create this painting on. So here you see they've laid out. I'm doing a partial piece of one. I'm doing a full piece of another. They're going to be sitting on a branch. They're going to have some pretty red berries around them. These are winter birds for the most part. They usually show up in cooler times of the year, at least in North America. So now we're ready to transfer the design onto the surface. And so I'm going to position this within this routed border that I've already cut out my my edges. I'm going to position this within my routed border and I'm going to line it up where I want it to lie, and then I have some painter's tape that I'm going to secure the edges down so it does not move. And then I have transfer paper here. So you put the shiny side down. This is well used. I think I need to get some new. So I put that down between the pattern and the wood surface, and then we're taping that down to hold it secure. Now I like to use a rounded edged ballpoint pen to do my pattern transfer. And so that doesn't puncture through the paper. It also is red so I can see where I've been. So the things that I'm going to transfer for this pattern is the primary color changes on the bird, and then where the wings and the body sit, and obviously the facial pieces. So that's what I'm going to do here. I'm going to start up at the top, and we're going to come along the back. And it's always a good idea before you get too far, lift this up, make sure that it is transferring, and I can see that it is. Put it back down and continue. So we're going to come along this feather, or the wing, and down towards the tail. And the tail is going to be below this branch. So I'm actually going to have to sketch in the tail itself. This is the wing side, okay? And so then coming through, there's the rounded part of the body here. This part is the wing or the tail. And then we'll come through this way for the breast, cutting through where this leaf lies, right? So the whole idea of what I teach on this series is painting from photographs. And so I'm trying to share with you what I do to go through how to create a design from a photograph, how to lay it out on my surface, and how to have success without too much stress. Okay, a lot of you are not sketchers, sketch artists, drawers, but like to paint, and so I like to address that here and show you the shortcuts to how to get the elements onto your painting without having to be an expert in drawing. Okay, so here I've got some color changes. I'm going to go ahead and trace around those just so I know when I start adding my color changes where those are going to go. And then right here is where the wing comes up, and then we have that swivel point, right, that I'm going to lightly mark in there so that I know where it kind of comes in and where it transitions from the head to the body. Okay. All right, so then from here we'll sketch the tail in, and the branch and everything else will come in freehand. And then we're going to come over and do the same thing with this one. Okay, and oops, see, I punctured through there. I'm going to be careful. All right, and notice the beaks. A lot of times I see people who paint birds and they stick the beak on the end of the face. The beak actually comes back into the face. So there's an area that comes around this part and connects it to the head. It doesn't sit right here and come out from there, okay? And then we're going to come along the base here, the belly, and off the edge, right? So that's where the groove is on this wood. All right, and then we have the wing right here. And then I have a color change here. Excuse me. And then again, I'm just going to lightly put in that swivel point so I know where the transition is, the head to the body. Okay. All right, so that, I believe, gets me everything that I need on this. And that didn't come through, so I'm going to push a little harder. There we go. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and remove the pattern. And this is half, in my opinion, this is half the battle, is getting your design layout and space and size and everything, proportion, direction, and then getting it transferred onto your surface. Then you just start having the fun of creating the painting, okay? So the next thing I want to do is we're going to add on this tail, okay? So the tail is going to come from here, and this part needed to come up this way. So the tail is going to come from here down at an angle. And then these are long feathers, okay? So it's going to have a tip here and then another tip here. And they're layered, okay? So you've got feathers upon feathers layering here for those tails, but you're only going to see a few or pieces of them, a few layers, edges, okay? So you don't have to put those all in there. You just want to make sure that you understand that, okay? So I'm going to take that one out. I'll bring this one down just a little bit lower. All right, there we go. Now, they're going to be sitting on a branch, all right? And then the feet are going to be coming out from here and right about here. Okay, and then this branch is going to come through this area here, and then it's going to take a bend down and come right across there. Okay, so that's the top edge of that branch. All right, so that's as much sketching as I'm going to do on this, and all I really want to do at this point before I start painting, I got to strengthen a little bit these outside marks so that I don't lose them as I start to apply my background colors. Okay, so you just go over them with a pencil. Okay. These birds, from what I could tell, are primarily seed and berry eating. So they have the smaller beaks. Right, and also I want to have right here the transition between the orange belly and the white part of the tail that comes down. Okay. All right. Make sure we've got our eye in there strong. Okay, I think we're in business now. All right, so I'm going to get a foam plate out. I'm using foam plates. I was in a lot of my lessons teaching directly off the silicone mat that I have here as my palette because we're trying to be conservational and not use these foam things and throw them in the trash. But it's nice to be able to flatten out my paint puddles and get edges, and so I have to be able to slam this. I can't do that on this silicone piece. So I'm looking for ways, love suggestions, looking for ways to be more conservational and still be able to do that with my colors. Okay. All right, so let's work on the background of this. I'm going to put out some linen. I'm working with Plaid, FolkArt multi-surface acrylic paints. These are wonderful. They have a satin finish. I'm also working with some Plaid FolkArt matte acrylics. They have a matte finish, but they're colors that don't come in this line that I need. So in particular, today we're going to be using this Asphaltum later. But primarily I like these. They're self-sealing. They've got a beautiful satin finish, and they are very wonderful for blending and easy cleanup. Okay, so I've got some linen out, and then I'm going to put out some, for my sky, some Skyline. All right, it's kind of a steel blue or a blue-gray color. These are, remember, winter birds, so we're doing kind of cooler colors in the background. And so what I'm going to do with these, let's get a 3/4 flat. Okay, and I'm going to get that damp. I'm going to need some floating medium also. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and start working in the background. So this is a nice wood surface, and I'm going to maintain that wood look around the outside edge, but the inside is going to be all covered in paint. So and maybe a canvas, if you don't have wood, a canvas would be a good second suggestion for a surface for this. So I'm going to pick up a bunch of linen, load it on my brush, my 3/4 flat. I'm going to get some floating medium, and I'm going to come down here towards the bottom. Okay, and kind of slip slap this. Now, if you're not able to be careful, you could put painter's tape over the edges of this. As a matter of fact, I think I'm going to do that just for this purpose. So if I put down painter's tape along that edge right there, and then I can let's put some on the bottom too, and I can shift those around. I have to line all 4 edges. I've really been looking forward to creating this design with all of you, and I hope you enjoy it and learning a lot about birds this series. Okay, so let's go ahead with our linen. And I'm going to put out just a little bit of coffee latte as well. Okay, just so I can get a little darker down here towards the bottom. Pick that up a little bit, and we'll start slip slapping that in here. with the linen. Okay. Little medium. And we're going to come along the edge of our bird. If I go over the tail feathers, it's okay. It's just, they'll be covered with the paint we put on the tail feathers. A little more. All right, so I do need, I was trying not to waste it, but that's okay. Might as well just go all the way around. So I will do a different edge color after I finish the painting, and you'll see it in the final picture at the end of this video lesson to complement the design. All right, so a little bit more of the coffee latte coming through here. So it's a slip-slap motion. And then as we're coming up into this area, I want to start picking up some of my blue. So the Skyline coming through and around the birds. So I'm sorry. I was saying, I hope you're enjoying this series of winter songbirds on Paintabilities. Go back and watch the previous two that have already aired. One is on a tufted titmouse and the other was a bluebird. And I hope you enjoy those lessons as well. Birds are fun to paint. I've had a few people tell me, you know, they're intimidated or don't care for birds or whatever, but they really are, in the painterly world, a very popular subject. To learn to create them is a good idea. So I'm going to go around the shape of this bird. And I'm mostly going around those edges just to make sure I get paint up to the edge of the bird. I'm not worried if I go over the edge, it's if I don't get close enough to the edge. Okay. Medium, linen, and Skyline. So here we are up at the top. I'm going to take my bottom tape and put that up here now. There we go. So more Skyline, darker as we go up. All right, so this is picking up linen and Skyline. A little bit of a glare there, so let me hold this up so you can see a little better. All right, so picking up linen as we're coming back to this edge so that you can help them kind of blend and soften. Okay. Put something underneath this so I can hold that up. There we go. So it keeps the glare off. Okay, so just kind of working with these colors to get a background that I'm happy with. I like that the wood grain is showing through. It lends a little more rustic look to this design. All right, and I'm going to come back down here with this linen and the blue that's still in my brush, and bring these three colors together right in the middle a little better. There, that looks better. Okay. All right, so now before we leave this, I want to get some trees in the background a little bit. So I'm going to put out some Asphaltum. All right, and so let's clean this brush. All right, so medium on the brush, and we're going to load Asphaltum and a little bit of coffee latte, about 1/3 of the brush coffee latte and 2/3 Asphaltum. Lots of medium. Okay. And so I want to come in, let me just see how this, yeah, that's looking good. So I want to come in here and kind of bring a branch from behind the bird. Okay, and it's transparent to make it look further away. Oops, I need a little more medium with that. Okay. I'll put a little here. And so let's bring something up from here, and then it's going to pop back out, head over that way. Very subtle, all right, so it's in the background. And we'll come over here. Little bits of branch popping out, branches. It's kind of framing the little, it's kind of framing our design in this wooded setting with these birds. So I've not picked up any more color. This is real, well, I'm going to get some now. This is real subtle though. And this isn't necessarily trees. These are just branches of whatever bush these guys are sitting in. Okay, and I just want to kind of leave that center area open for now. All right, so let's work on our birds. So with birds, you work from the back forward, and in the case of well, in most designs you work from the back forward. In the case of birds, the back is actually the bottom, the underneath part, and then you come forward and to the top, laying things on top of each other. So we're going to work with the tail feathers first, okay, and then we're going to work on the belly coming up and into the neck and swivel area, and then the feathers coming down the sides and finishing with the face. Okay, so let's put out some of the colors we want for this. We're going to need some wicker white, and for the bellies with that we're going to use some Pueblo, which is like a burnt orange, or yeah, burnt orange color. So Wicker, White, and Pueblo. And then for the wings, we're going to have medium gray and licorice. Okay, so those are the colors for our birds. All right, now, pardon me. So the first thing I want to do, let's get a 16 flat. And we're going to put the coloring in, and then we're going to use our rake or feather brushes to create the texture of the feathers over the under color. Okay, so let's first work on our tail feathers and our bottoms and bellies here. So first thing I want to do is I'm going to get, let's flatten these out. I'm going to get white on my brush. So load it with white. And then I'm going to come over here and side stroke a little bit of licorice. Okay, so let's come down here to our tail feathers, and we're going to come right underneath the back side here with the dark edge down, and we're going to push on the flat. I need more color and some medium. This wood is still dry. There we go. Push on the flat and then come up. Okay. And then under here, get some more white. There we go. And we're going to go up with that. There. Then get that black again. And come down here, and we're going to push and stroke up into that light color. And then we're going to layer on that. So we'll come down and up. Let's put the white down, and we'll layer that up. There we go. And then we're going to come up a little higher, and we'll add another couple of feathers. Let's come down first and pull it up. Not happy with how that's looking. So let's clear this back out. Let's get some white in here. There we go. You have to keep getting strong white because it's getting lost in that black. Strong white, push, there we go. Okay, so we're just layering. We want to be careful not to do too many of those though, all right? So now I want to wipe off that black because I don't want any more of that in there. And we're going to get just white, and we're going to pull that down and kind of sweep it up into this belly area. A little more white. Okay. Now, here on this one, I'm going to pull in some white as well, right in this direction. That'll help the orange on the Pueblo to show better when we lay that in. Okay, so before I move on to the rest of what's in here, we want to add some texture. So I'm going to get my rake brush here. This is a 5/8 inch rake, and I got it damp, and I'm going to come and get that with some water, with some white, excuse me. A little too much water. And we're going to sweep this down into the tail feather area. And they're not curved. They're just at an angle coming into that tail feather. And if I pick up that black, I want to wipe that off, come back and get white, come back and get white, okay, and then over here. Okay, so strong white. There. All right, now I'm just going to wipe that brush off, and we're going to load it with the Pueblo. Okay, and this is a rake brush, but you can also use it very similar to a flat. And so we're going to come along this edge here. And we're going to fill this all in. So remember, we have that little swivel point right here, and we want to use that as kind of our edge so that we pull the feathers on the face this way up towards the face rather than down towards the chest, okay? And this is going to go all the way over to this edge of the wing right here. And I want you not to have a hard line right there. I want you to sweep it up just slightly past that point so that it sits underneath that swivel edge. And then here you're going to make sure you sweep it over the white underneath. It's going to pick up some of that white, and that's a good thing, okay? All right, now, same thing on this one over here. And this is going to come all the way up to right about here. Right, that wing comes in right there. Now this is very strong, and we're going to come in with some white now that this is on here, and soften it down and give it feathered texture. Okay. All right, so continuing with this brush, then I'm going to pick up a little bit of white and work that in with the Pueblo on the brush to more of a peachy tone. And we're going to sweep a little bit of white there. And as you're sweeping, you want to put just a little bit of a feathered edge around the outside edge of the bird body, just so that it doesn't look flat. Okay, so a little bit puffing away. You don't want them to look fuzzy, but just enough that it softens the outside edge. Okay. All right, and then up here, I'm skipping a little bit of a part here, so it's darker, and then we're adding more white with that color up here. All right, and then you can get stronger Pueblo. Through there. I'm going to wipe off this brush. It's too much light color. If I want to bring some of that strong back in, I got to take that off. I'm going to mix just a touch of Asphaltum. Come here. There we go. And create some darker areas. Comes right through here. And across this chest here. And just make sure your strokes are all in the same curved direction. Okay. Okay. So now do the same thing over on this guy. And I want more white on this one. And we're going to fluff his chest out. And what's important on these overall is that the strokes get layered as they go up the body to finish. Okay. Otherwise, you're going to see the start and stop ends of those strokes. So I'm going to do the same thing over here. Okay. All right, so those are looking pretty good. Now to finish the face, I want to switch to a slightly smaller rake brush. So I'm going to go down to, this is a 1/4 inch. Okay, so we're going to get that damp, and we're going to work the orange on the faces. So that's Pueblo and some white. And let's come up here. So this comes from this dark area here. Okay, and then it's black underneath there. Above there, I should say, excuse me. And these, let's get some more white, this sweeps this way towards the back of the head. All right, so that's the direction. Now I want to come back here and do that sweeping with that lighter color. And then come over that swivel point. Right there. And then you're going to come over the top of those with that darker load of Pueblo. Okay. All right, now do the same thing on this guy over here. You know what I didn't do? I was trying to figure out why I can't see the difference in line. I didn't put the black, I didn't outline the black on this, so it comes from here down, and then from the eye back here, and comes back up to the head. So they're almost like a black-capped chickadee, sort of. Okay, so that helps me. I was trying to figure out why I didn't see the same thing there. Okay, so we're going to come through here. Remember, we want this line, and then it sweeps back towards the gray and along the neck. Okay. Now I might have to do a little bit of touch up where it joins into the wing here. But we do the light there first, and then we come over with the darker. Now this actually, I need to change this angle just a little bit. It goes back this way. Okay, and wipe off and then get our stronger dark. And every time I pick up that lighter color and it starts to turn my dark light again, I have to wipe that off on paper towel and then come get the stronger Pueblo. There. Okay. So now this is dry. I want to come back in and just, let's get a little of that lighter color again. So I want to bring these back. You have to be careful not to over blend it, and that's kind of what happened. So I'm coming back in because that when it over blends and becomes all one color, then you don't see the lines that make the feathers. Okay, so it doesn't look like a bird. It looks like a flat color book version. Okay, so there. I think that's good for the orange colors in these. Now, I'm going to clean that brush, and I want to address the gray and coming down into the feathers. So we've got to come back up the feathers first from the back side with the dark color. So that's black. Okay, so I'm going to take this is a 12 flat, and I'm going to load this with Licorice. Okay, and we're going to come down here. Get some medium to help that move. Okay, and we're going to come all the way up to this line right here. All right, and then we're going to skip a spot, and then this right here is black. So you can come in and just kind of chisel edge, get that kind of rough outer jagged edge to it. Okay. And then we can come along the head. Under the beak. And the eye is black, but I'm working around that just so that I can address that on its own. Okay. All right, and then we're going to come from that along that little cap right there. Okay, and then on this guy, same thing up here. He's going to have a little bit of black right there. And then this is gray up above. And then he's got a little patch of white in this one. And then below that is the black again. Okay. And then the top of the head. And just fill that in. All right. So now we want to come in with our medium gray. So same brush, just clean that out, and we've got medium gray, and I'm going to put just a tiny bit of white, work that in there with it. All right, and we're going to come along this back of the wing. And no, I shouldn't have put that white in there, so let's bring that back to a darker version. I think I just put too much white. There we go. And then here you're going to chisel edge back and forth, fill that in. And then down into the black from above. And then the back of the head, you're going to sweep into the Pueblo side of the face. Okay, now I'm going to get a little touch of white. And bring that together there. And we'll come in with the rake brush again too and pull that together. Okay. So little chisel edges. I've got a little bit of white on that corner of that brush, and I'm just pulling that up. Okay, so now let's do the same thing on these guys here. Come along the back of the head, pull that in, and then down here, touch of white, not a lot. I'm on the chisel edge and just kind of pulling this into that black. It's picking up a little bit of it, and that's okay. I'll wipe off that. And then here, oops, a little bit of white. Okay. And then up into that area. So just making sure I fill in all the wooded area from the background, and that gives us our bird colors and everything. So now let's wipe this off again. I'm going to come back and get the black, the licorice, and I'm going to side stroke some of this gray. All right, and we're going to come along the bottoms of these feathers. It's gray, so it's very subtle. Okay, just a hint of a lighter color there, and we're going to layer up. Okay. All right, so can you see that? Right in there, I want a little more of that black. There we go. So it's just very subtle, a lighter edge to those wing feather tips. And then on here, same thing, you're going to do little stroke pulls like feathers up and just kind of layer those a little bit. So maybe just a tiny bit of white. I just don't want to bring it out too strong. Because it is still black in there. Okay. So same thing up here. Okay. All right, now with that gray on my brush, I'm just going to come along the back of this head and lighten up the top of that head just a little bit. No, I think I need the white to do that. There we go. Small little brush strokes, guys. These are just real subtle highlights on that feathers. Actually, I think it'd be better if I did with the rake brush. Okay, so let's come back to that 1/4 inch rake. I'll get licorice on there, and then I'm just going to get a tiny bit of white. All right, and we're going to come from here. Otherwise you don't get, if it's flat black, it just doesn't look like it's feathers. Okay, so licorice, a little bit of white. There. So then on the other one, same thing. we want to come, we got to start back here. Whoops. A little bit of white. I'm going to turn this real quick because I can't get the right angle. There. Okay, so can you see the very subtle tones of white and black in there? So it's just highlights of light hitting those black feathers. Okay. Now to bring some of that black back in, there, especially around the beak. And then down here, right, with the white, now you can come in here with that gray. And bring those blacks together. Medium gray and white. And so on this back side of the head, sweeping into the orange. And then from here, down. The feathers are actually going this way towards the back underneath, but to get that without him looking hairy back here, that's better. Okay, so now I can come back to my Pueblo with a little bit of white. And remember I said I might have to do a little touch up, and so we're going to just come back right over this edge of the gray. Okay, just very lightly, little bits of white with that, and let it come over. Okay. All right, so I think that's pretty good for the coloration of the birds. Now, I'm going to grab a 6 flat. That's not a question. I'm going to grab a 6 flat, and we're going to get medium gray on that, and I'm going to come side stroke some licorice. Right, and we're going to come through these beaks here. I need a little bit of medium on here because that wood is still very dry. Need a little bit of white because that gray just is not strong enough against that black. Okay, so I just need a touch of white. Against that background, and then I'm going to pull some black back into the beak. There. That comes to a point right there. And then here, okay. All right, now to emphasize the break line in the beak here, I'm going to come and get my script liner with some licorice on it, right there. And we're going to pull this in, and that part in, and just go around the outside of that beak to shape it into the face. Okay, and then here. There we go. Okay, now they have a little bitty nostril right in there, right in there. Okay, and then I'm going to go ahead and fill in the eye. But I'm leaving just a little bit of a border around the outside. And we're going to put some lighter gray okay. So then I'm going to streak through some white on that same loaded brush, kind of working it together to lighten that color. Their eyes are very dark against their head. Okay. And come back in with some of that black and fix that shape there, there. All right, then you're going to get a touch of white for a little catch light in their eye, right there. Okay, so now I'm going to come and get just a little bit of water with this medium gray, touch of white worked in with that. And right through here, we're going to feather the wing over the body. Right through there. A little bit stronger gray. A little more white. Okay. Now, to really make these birds have shape, you have to spend some time doing some shading. And so I want to come back to my 16 flat. And we're going to get medium on that, load medium. And then I'm going to come and side load some Asphaltum with a touch of Pueblo. Okay, so that's just to darken, I'm sorry. I'm side loading Asphaltum with a touch of Pueblo on a medium loaded 16 flat. All right, and we're going to come right along here and through here. I'm going to sweep through this area here. And then under here as well. So on the flat, you're floating a darker color in front of and underneath the wing. Okay. And then you're going to do a similar sort of thing on the backs of the wings with, let's get some strong medium gray, and all right, so you're not losing the texture, you're just adding a little bit of shadow and depth to the color. I'm going to get just a little bit of lighter color on here and add a little highlight there, a little highlight there. Okay, right there. First thing I want to do is add that branch so we can then add their legs and claws that are on the branch. So I've got my colors laid out here. I need some, I just realized. I need some coffee latte, so I put that out as well. So I'm going to take my 16 flat. We're going to double load that with Asphaltum and coffee latte. Okay, get a good load on there. A little bit of floating medium to help that move. All right, and so we're going to bring our branch. And remember I said it was kind of coming through right through here. And so we're coming from off. Let's put the dark color to the top here. And we're going to come from off the branch, the square, and then come through and in front of the belly of this one. Okay. All right, so now that we have that there, let's get just a touch of white and work that in. A little bit of white. There. So the branch just goes from one side to the other of our design. And then it's going to have some smaller branches coming off of it. And that'll have some berries and some leaves. So let's bring a little branch down here. And maybe one that comes up through there. And we'll have a little bit of one there. So everything's here is on the chisel edge of the brush, creating these little branches. And we're going to have this one kind of disappear behind him. Let's get a little light on that. There we go. So I'm just going to sputter some lighter color along the face of this branch. And then we're going to get some darker color in there also. So just on the back corner with the asphaltum. Right, pull some light through. All right, now what I want to do is let's grab the script liner and we'll get some inky asphaltum with some water blended. Streak through a little bit of white, and off of these, let's get a little bit of dark back on there. Right, little twig ends to add our berries to. So just picking up light and dark colors. So in front of this guy, we'll add a little more white so that it shows up there. And then that will help the dark to show. Okay, this one. Okay, so you can add as many or as little of these branches as you want. I'm going to get just a touch of licorice You don't need much. Just to add a little bit of character to this branch a little more. Okay. All right, now I'm going to bring another branch through. Let's get mostly asphaltum, touch of white on this, and we're going to come through right, well, let's bring it right overhead here. Okay. And actually I want to do that with the flat of my brush. I was thinking I could do it with my script liner, but it's not giving me the look I want. So we'll come back to our branch colors. Much faster and easier to do it with a flat brush. And we'll get just a little bit of white on that. And we can pull a little bit of one in here too. I'm thinking of a design triangle where you have threes of something. So in the foreground, if we're having the main branch coming through, it's a good idea to have, if you're adding a second one, add a third one as well. So it's just more pleasing to the eye and more balanced if you do that. Okay, now I'm going to pick up just a little bit of white here, and I'm going to tap in just a little touch of frost or snow on the corner of my brush. Okay. All right, now we're ready to add some leaves and some berries. So clean that 12, and I'm going to come to, so my primary leaf color is going to be, this is fresh cut grass, but we're going to take this and tone it down to something more wintry, fall-y looking. So I'm going to work that into my 12 flat, and then let's come get some of this coffee latte on 1/2 the brush and work that in. All right, and let's get a little bit of gray on the other half. Okay, so we've got medium. All right, so just to lay in some of these leaves, because there's not very many, they're just kind of what's left. Let's get just a tiny bit of white on that lighter edge. There we go. Okay. A little bit more white. There. So I'm not much on the flat of the brush. I'm kind of staying up on the chisel edge. And we're going to pull that branch, or that leaf right in there, stem from it from the branch. Okay, good. I need a little more brown with that. There we go. Okay, so that's what our leaves are going to look like. So let's come back in here, get our gray, and side load just a little bit of white. So my hand might look shaky, but I'm actually shaking it on purpose to get kind of a jagged look on these leaves. Okay, so you don't want to do a lot, just a few. A little bit of, let's turn this the other way because we're going to be against a darker back or lighter background. Get some of that brown in there for stems. Okay, let's do one more. I'm going to add a little bit of the asphaltum now. And I need that white on the other edge. They're almost got a little bit of frost on them. There. Just kind of brown and blowing away. Okay, I think that's good. Now we're ready to add our berries. So I put out my colors for the berries, and I'm going to be using a 1/2 inch dauber. So I'm going to load that primarily. This is apple red, which is a very bright red, and we're going to bring that down just a little bit with some of this Pueblo. Okay, so see how that looks. I might be adding a little bit of asphaltum in there here and there too. So let's come out to some of the edges of these branches. And I think that's going to look nice. Okay, now what I don't want to have happen is that they all look the same. So after I get these all in here, I'm going to come in and add a few little touches to brighten some and age some. See, like right here, they're kind of, I don't want them really standing out, but they're blending in a little too much with the body of the bird, so we'll take care of that. And then we're going to have some that hang down here. And we'll have a few up here also. See right there. All right, so to bring some of these to a little bit different look, right? Somebody wants to look a little bit older or worn or whatever. I'm going to come and get some of the asphaltum on the red. All right, and then I'm going to put a touch of white on the Pueblo. All right. And so let's put a few right there. Okay, not on every single one. We're going to keep them here and there. So that's the red with the Asphaltum and the Pueblo with a touch of white. That got a little too heavy with the white. Well, it doesn't look too bad. I think I just need to put a little more Pueblo back on it. There. Okay, let's do one here, there, and I think that's looking pretty good. Now, to finish off these birds, I want to come and get my script liner again. We're going to add the feet. All right, so we're going to get some inky licorice. Okay, and so these feet are going to come, now you're not going to really see them on this one because they're kind of behind where those leaves are. And if you don't like to do feet, put more leaves and berries down here and you can cover up where the feet go, okay? But here I'm going to bring these claws, come through there and from up in the body. This one's going to come from here down. Oh, I'm sorry. Let's come down so you can see, huh? There we go. All right, and then we're going to pull and then they have a back one that comes through there. All right, now those don't look like much because they're all one color, so we need to get a little bit of white on that brush now. And we're going to just streak some lighter color. And that's going to tone down once it starts to dry. Okay, but in addition to that, I can come back in with my small rake brush and a little bit of the feather color and kind of incorporate that back into where the legs come out from. Okay. Okay, so let's come back up and take a look at our finished project here. I think this is looking really good. I feel like there's things you could still do to it, like tapping in more snow if you wanted it to look more wintry, adding more leaves if you wanted to bring up the foresty look. Just, you know, opportunity to make it your own. But I encourage you to try this, please. Go back and watch how we created the pattern and try not to be intimidated by thinking you have to draw a bird, because you don't have to. You know, consider the options, the things that you can do to make those things happen for you. There's lots of bird patterns out there, even if you want to go find one. Or you can take a snapshot of this. I'm going to flatten this out right now. Oops, sorry. I'm going to flatten this out right there. And this is square on. So if you want to take a screenshot right there, and then you can create your own pattern from that. This is, as I mentioned, 11 by 11. So I hope you enjoyed this lesson, and I am excited to see you give it a try, share what you create, and I'm always happy to answer any questions. Go back and watch all of my Paintabilities lessons, starting back from May of 2024, explaining how and why Paintabilities came to be, and enjoy the lessons there, learning how to create from photographs, and then come back and pick up where we have here and have fun with this one. Thanks so much. We'll see you again soon. Bye-bye.